Good morning, or good afternoon in Europe, or good evening in other countries, wherever you might happen to be. My name is Kurt Abraham. I'm the editor-in-chief and chief forecaster for World Oil, and I will be your moderator today. Technology advances are changing offshore in the oil and gas operations, simplifying communication, automating processes, decreasing downtime, and increasing profitability. In a sector characterized by volatility, leveraging new technologies has been a way to maximize productivity and optimize operations. It also has become foundational to making inherently dangerous activities safer for offshore personnel. A recently introduced safety management system that focuses on locational awareness by personnel and for personnel takes a different approach to safety. OffshoreMuster. Joining us for today's webcast are Dr. Symeon Kassianides, founder, CEO, and chairman of Hyperion Systems Engineering Group, Dr. Tasos Kounoudes, co-founder and chief executive officer of SignalGeneriX, and Ali El Ali, managing director from Zakher Marine International. Dr. Symeon Kassianides is the founder, CEO, and chairman of the Hyperion Systems Engineering Group, a globally operating technology group with more than 25 years of worldwide experience providing business, technology, equipment, and engineering advisory, consulting, and implementation of advanced solutions in the hydrocarbons, chemicals, and power generation industries. He has led the group through technical and geographical growth, business transformation, acquisitions, divestments, and carve-out. He has several years of service as board member on government and private companies and has acted as a mentor to several startups. He served as chairman of the board of directors of the Cyprus Natural Gas Public Company and the Cyprus Natural Gas Infrastructure Public Company. In his capacity in DEFA and ETYFA, he led the effort for the introduction of natural gas to the energy mix of Cyprus and the construction of the financing as well, or rather the construction of the Cyprus LNG import terminal, and has been involved in all aspects ranging from procurement and tenders to securing the financing, as well as ensuring the technical progress of the project. Symeon served as a member of the Gas Industry Advisory Committee of the East Mediterranean Gas Forum, a member of the Infrastructure Operators Group Mediterranean Gas, and European Network for Transition Systems Operators for Gas, and is in the United Nations Economic Committee for Europe Gas Experts Group. Symeon has regularly presented as an invited speaker in academic and trade conferences, while he has been invited as a guest speaker at, amongst others, the University of Cyprus, the National Technical University of Athens, Kosminski University International Business School in Warsaw, Poland, and the Sloan School at MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts. He holds a PhD in DIC in Chemical Engineering from Imperial College of Science, Technology, and Medicine in London, and a BSc in Chemical Engineering from MIT. Now, Dr. Tasos Kounoudes has more than 20 years of industrial experience in the development and implementation of multi-million euro technology projects across Europe. He is co-founder and chief executive officer of SignalGeneriX, a leading Cypriot technology company, which focuses on design and development of innovative technologies and high-end electronic systems for a wide range of international clients. Tasos holds a PhD in signal processing and telecommunications from Imperial College, UK, and a master's in engineering in computer engineering and informatics from University of Patras, Greece. He is author of 3 patents and the author and co-author of more than 60 scientific publications, including book chapters, peer-reviewed journal papers, and international conference papers in his domain of expertise. Ali El Ali is managing director of Zakher Marine International and QMS2 Offshore Services, both part of the Zakher Group of multinational offshore oil service companies based in Abu Dhabi, comprising his family business. Ali has more than 10 years in his portfolio of demonstrated history of working in the maritime, energy, and real estate industry. He grew up in Abu Dhabi and studied in Scotland and England, completing a BS degree in International Business and Finance in 2014. He is a strong executive professional with vast experience working in various dynamic environments. He is skilled in banking and finance, business planning, operations management, and strategy development. He is constantly achieving his set target by adopting various strategies that set specific, measurable, achievable, and time-bounded objectives. He is focusing on modernizing the Zakher group of companies during its phase of rapid international expansion in shipbuilding and diversifying the group's interest into real estate, technology, and other areas. Now, just some general housekeeping notes before we get started. Following the presentation, we'll have a short question and answer session. You can participate in that Q&A session by asking questions at any time during the presentation. Just type your question into the Q&A box that is located at the bottom left corner of your screen, and then click the Submit button. Please take this time to familiarize yourself with the webinar platform. At the bottom of your screen, there are multiple application widgets that you can use. All the widgets are resizable and movable, so feel free to move them around to get the most out of your desktop space. You can expand your slide area or maximize it to full screen by clicking on the arrows in the top right corner. You may enlarge the slide window at any time by clicking on the arrows on the top right corner of the slide area. The slides will advance automatically throughout the event. If you experience problems with the program, please press the F5 key on your keyboard to refresh the presentation. You can also visit the webcast help guide by clicking on the help button below the slide window. So now we're ready to get started. Gentlemen, it's all yours.
Thank you, Kurt. I'm very pleased to have organized this webinar together with Petroleum, Economist, and World Oil. And I would also like, from the outset, to thank Mr. Ali El-Ali of ZMI, who has agreed to join our panel and talk about Zakher Marine and his experience with OffshoreMuster. I will start by introducing our team. We are a consortium of 4 partners that came together to develop and introduce this new technology we will be presenting today. The partners are SignalGeneriX and Hyperion from Cyprus, OptionsNet from Greece, and System from Switzerland. The OffshoreMuster project is developing this advanced new technology to facilitate the safe mastering and evacuation of offshore workers. The project has received 2.9 million euro funding from the Fast Track to Innovation European Union Horizon 2020 project. And now the partners have formed the OffshoreMuster company with the objective to commercialize and launch the product to the global market. With this, I will pass on to Ali, our guest, to introduce ZMI and talk about put the stage for his involvement in the project.
All right, I'll control it. Thank you, Symeon, for the introduction. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, or attendees. My name is Ali. I'm the managing director at Zakher Marine. Zakher Marine is the leading GCC offshore service provider and operator of self-propelled, self-elevated jack-up barges, as well as offshore supply vessels and subsea services based in Abu Dhabi. We operate across the GCC and as well as Southeast Asia, both in the oil and gas and as well as the renewable industry. We were founded in 1984, so we are close to our 40-year anniversary in the next 2 years. We've been operating out of the UAE for the last 35 years itself, and we've evolved along with the oil and gas industry. We've evolved from being your OSV, standard OSV owner-operator to having one of the largest diversified fleets in our space. Today, we operate over 60 units across the board, including and not limited to 24 self-elevated, self-propelled jack-up barges, where a lot of the focus with our team up with OSM lies, as well as also having the youngest fleet, which plays well with the whole concept of what the OffshoreMuster technology provides for us. We like to provide strong value proposition across for all of our clients, and we continue to grow our business in various ways wherever we see fit. Just a quick overview as to what a jack-up barge and OSVs are for those in the audience that may not know. Self-elevated, self-propelled jack-up barges are an evolution of what the drilling rigs used to be. Over the last 2 decades, we've seen an evolution of this asset grow and develop based on the requirements of what we see from our clientele, especially in the offshore oil and gas sector and shallow water operations. This slide gives a little bit of a breakdown in terms of the ownership and fleet size in comparison to the global fleet composition, as well as what markets we serve. And as you can see, we serve across the whole value chain of the offshore space. This just to give you a slight overview of our fleet. As it states, I think from the last time we actually provided this slide, we've grown in fleet size in the last week. So sorry, Symeon, for not updating this slide for you. But we are now 24 jackups instead of 23 and continuing to grow. So that's a slight overview. I think I'll give it back to Symeon to discuss about our collaboration.
Great. So thank you, Ali. So we're very pleased to be working with you, and basically it is an honor to have partnered up to have Zakher Marine as a launch partner. I think for the benefit of this discussion and to set the stage, and we will see things as they develop going forward. All the work was tested on QMS Pride, and this was done a few months ago, actually on site in the port of Abu Dhabi. In order, of course, for the pilot to work and the testing to work, we've had excellent collaboration with ZMI through the whole period with operational needs definition, definition of the requirements, fine-tuning of the requirements. And then we did actually have a team, and we'll discuss a little bit about that later on, that spent several days on the barge in the port to install the system and then do the testing and evaluation, which was completed very successfully and has given us also the encouragement to hold this webinar. So what is the problem that we are trying to address? The problem is basically accidents in hazardous working environments can cost lives and money. Vague or no situational information creates confusion and slow response. Workers' location awareness is vital for coordination. We have seen this actually as a tragic event unraveling this last week in the Mediterranean with one of the cruise ships that caught fire. And you had 12 people that were missing in the boat. And one of them actually was found yesterday. So effectively, the cost for losses in human lives and assets is very high. And of course, everybody wants to avoid having to deal with that situation. So that was in a big way for us a trigger and driver for developing this technology. And we've had full alignment and understanding with ZMI on that. On this, I will pass on to Tasos Kounoudes. Tasos will present the solution, and we'll come back. Tasos.
Hello. OffshoreMuster is a solution that combines a lot of subsystems and technologies. We have developed wearable localizable devices with which we equip personnel. This comes in the form of bracelet or wearables that they can be embedded in uniforms. Wireless base stations distributed along the structure enable the acquisition of signals of these devices and the localization of the personnel. These devices through a LAN network are sending the information in a database on which the decision support system is connected. So in real time, we get we get information from the wearables as far as the localization and the movement of the people and the other vital information. The decision support system is fully customized on each client, as you can see later, and provides powerful post-processing algorithms in order to give a holistic picture of the emergency. We also developed an automatic, very simple, quick, and automatic mastering application where people can be mastered and immediately this information is shown on the decision support. In case of man overboard, the wearable devices send a signal, create an emergency instantly, and then with the halted device that we have developed, we can spot the location of the person overboard in the proximity around the structure. At least 1 kilometer, we can locate the person, even in complete darkness and very harsh weather. Here you can see the different components. Localization gateways, which are distributed on the structure. They provide robust communication through a landline, but also we have a redundant wireless communication network, multi-hop communication network, in case the wired network is damaged during an accident. We also have these small and low cost and low power devices that they can be used for days, weeks, and can provide the localization information of the personnel. We also added a panic button, so with a simple push in a specific location, a personnel can create alerts, and then they can initiate their rescue at any time. All the hardware that we have developed from scratch are now under ATEX and CE certification. On the right-hand side, you can see the main decision support interface, where it provides localization of all the people in all the different levels of a structure, and enables post-processing of the information and valuable information for evacuation management. You can see here on the left, the overboard people localization through a gun after there is one of the wearable devices fell in the water, and it triggers an alarm, and with the gun we can spot the person in the sea. We can even, this is mobile, so we can use it on a rescue boat, so we can find very quickly the missing person. Also, we fully automate the mastering process, as you can see later in videos, to enable full electronic mastering of the people on board. OffshoreMuster decision support system process all this information that we gather and give a holistic view of the disaster escalation, the people localization, their movement, and assisting the personnel of the barge so as to have efficient emergency management and safe evacuation of the people. This interface can be accessed from the infrastructure, but also with the appropriate communication channel from anywhere in the world. In the following video, we can see how the system works.
OffshoreMuster, revolutionizing safety in offshore oil and gas operations. Offshore oil and gas platforms rank among the world's most hazardous working environments. At any time, dozens of technicians, engineers, and other personnel work in teams across many locations. Knowing where each person is at any given moment is extremely valuable for the safety of all personnel on board. Here is how OffshoreMuster, an integrated real-time situational awareness system, provides this ability. Each platform crew member, visitor, and contractor are assigned with a uniquely identifiable wearable device. During check-in, the operator using the OffshoreMuster handheld device scans every onboarding person. OffshoreMuster wearables can be worn using wristbands, clip-ons, or simply kept inside a pocket. Each person always has his wearable on. The heart of OffshoreMuster is the personnel tracking system. A single ergonomically designed operator screen providing real-time views of every single person's location across all platform decks with search and locate functionality. How does it work? Signal receiving gateways are installed both indoors and outdoors. Studying the platform layout, OffshoreMuster engineers select the right positions to ensure 100% coverage. Gateways and mobile nodes meet the required 8X and CE mark standards for continuous operation in explosive and hazardous environments. Gateways capture the wearable's location and sensor status. Our proprietary localization technology overcomes transmission obstructions from the all-metal platform structure, providing accurate real-time people localization and situation awareness. OffshoreMuster monitor and control room operators have an overall view and can effectively validate adherence to any HSE procedure. In case of a fire incident, detection systems sound the alarm. The emergency team initiates the personnel safe evacuation process. Personnel gather at the emergency muster stations. Traditional mustering typically follow a manual, slower T-card system. With OffshoreMuster, officers efficiently use e-mustering handhelds to scan the wearables of the arriving personnel. In parallel, the emergency team has a comprehensive view of the situation, knowing who has been safely mustered, where, and who is missing. On the main control room screen, officers in charge can also monitor the evacuation and provide corrective instructions when necessary. For missing persons, OffshoreMuster provides last known location and a respective timestamp. Supervisors can then guide rescuers to a specific area to assist injured persons. Much faster, less risky for everyone. Injured persons are safely transferred on shore. OffshoreMuster also allows health and safety personnel at headquarters to follow the evolving situation in real time. Additionally, all information is captured, enabling black box type post-incident audit, evaluation, and analytics. OffshoreMuster, a holistic emergency response decision support system for enhancing safety in offshore oil and gas operations.
Okay, thank you, Tasos. I think we now move on to how you say, we've set the stage, we've described the solution, we've seen an explainer video of how things work, and now we'll talk a little bit about the actual deployment, where what you see in the photo is actually QMS Pride. For the installation here, we installed 70 localization base stations throughout the infrastructure, so it could take all levels of the jackup barge. Each personnel was assigned and carried a unique wearable tracking device. The people localization information was transferred in a central database in real time. The decision support system processed all the information in real time, giving a holistic view of the evacuation process, people's locations and movements, assisting in effectively responding to any requirement. In our pilot testing, we also included panics and, let's say, emergency situations and drills in order to be able to find people that either were incapacitated, or let's say that they used the panic button to go and be located. And then we had the automatic countering. So we ran a whole mastering process where let's say we did the automatic mastering and identification of people at their stations, also running scenarios of maybe people going to different places and then being pointed out that they are not at the right place and so forth. But so the system is very versatile and can cover a lot of these abilities, let's say. And as Tasos said, quite an important and interesting aspect is the ability to locate, let's say, the personnel in a 1 kilometer radius around the infrastructure in case we have a man overboard situation. So having successfully tested the system and now being able to talk about what we see and feedback we have received both from industry and our partners here with ZMI and the staff of QMS Pride and visitors and so forth. Basically, the continuous monitoring of situations allows for proactive actions for the health, safety, and well-being of personnel. We have instant people in emergency team position awareness in real time, which significantly reduces response time and minimizes damages. Instant panic alert from wearable devices, automatic electronic mastering, which ensures safe identification and evacuation of all personnel. We mentioned the instant alert of man overboard, coupled with overboard long-range people localization, intelligent decision support, as Tasos explained very well, and efficient emergency response that contributes to uninterrupted operation of the oil and gas asset. Last but not least is in our system, the system is a live system that records all entries and all data in a central black box logging principle. This allows both, let's say, to be able to use this information and replay the scenarios, whether it is for training and drills and to understand how it's happening, but also as a post-incident audit. So if something actually did happen and something unfortunately happened and needed to be studied or to be investigated or to lead to improvement of operations or to identify a fault or to identify a mistake in order to avert situations happening again. All the data is stored and collected and can be accessed, let's say, through a wide network to replay the whole situation. Now, it's always nice to have slides and to show the explainer video, but we thought we will also close in closing before we go to the question and answer session to show you what it was really like the experience on QMS Pride. And for that, I will show you the video of the actual installation. Okay. Thank you for thank you for your attention, and I think Kurt, now we'll go back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Symeon. Gentlemen, we're going to go into a short discussion of items in more detail, and for the benefit of those of you in the audience, we will get to your questions shortly. My first questions are for Tasos, and my first question to you, Tasos, is where did the inspiration come for the OSM?
The main aim of OffshoreMuster is to save lives. It's critical to minimize the time of response. Despite the strict protocols, proceedings, and technology deployment of various technologies, still the industry account deaths. This is the inspiration, the motivation. We have developed a system that minimizes the response time to emergency, and this saves lives and saves also the infrastructure.
All righty. What would you say are the greatest obstacles that you had to overcome when you were producing this technology?
If I skip the COVID situation where it was very challenging to develop electronics during this period, main challenge is that we are wirelessly accurately locating people in an environment which is very challenging as far as wireless communication is concerned. It's a huge steel structure which prohibits wireless communication. We have developed advanced technologies that we can overcome all these technical issues and can localize a big amount of people simultaneously and in real time in this environment.
Indeed. What was your experience with the pilot on the QMS Pride?
It's a great experience, and I would like to thank Ali for the collaboration. This is the first of a kind worldwide. It's the first deployment of such technologies, and it was very successful because we validated in an operation environment the technology, but also we get which perform flawlessly, but also we got important feedback from the industry for further improvements. So we are very happy with this collaboration because it's a leading technology, new technology, and the pilot with on QMS Pride proved that it works.
Excellent. Thank you, Tasos. So I've got some questions now for Ali. Ali, how important is health and safety for ZMI?
Well, it's paramount. I mean, it's the utmost priority we take when we're involved in our day-to-day operations, you know, especially because we operate in live hydrocarbon offshore fields. As Tasos rightly said, you know, technology like this is to save lives, and our key component when we're operating on a day-to-day basis is to ensure we are providing an extremely safe operating environment for all our personnel.
So tell us a little more about ZMI and what drove you to a relationship with OSM?
It made sense. I mean, there was somewhat of an organic growth in the relationship through various introductions to Symeon and the team. And, you know, we found an opportunity in a space whereby this technology was being developed, and we saw fit, being the leading operator here and having one of the best HSE track records, to look at how we can further build on that, you know. And as such, that's how the relationship kind of came together. Of course, during COVID as well, which brought a lot of challenges.
I'm sure. All right, Symeon, what do you see being the impact of OSM in the area of health and safety for the offshore oil and gas industry at this point?
Well, I think the contribution comes in many different ways, in the sense that it increases the ability to localize personnel, to understand, to have a situation awareness, to introduce, let's say, the ability to train from really reenacting live scenarios and understanding also how the workflow is, the movement of people, and so forth. But also, importantly, which is a very great interest, is the ability to also monitor the situation from off the vessel, let's say. So when you have coordination, and is one thing for rescue teams and people to work on the barge or on the vessel, and another thing to be able to direct it by a team which is at some distance and can have a full visibility of whatever is happening on the vessel at that time, and be able to remotely direct and introduce procedures and so forth. So I think that what we have now is a mature and proven technology, just at the level of being implemented, and we are very excited with the response we've had from different companies and operators that have seen the system, and how this might be applied for the improvement of conditions for offshore workers.
All right, so based on your expertise, where could an owner-operator see benefits and justify the investment?
Well, I think the investment, of course, there's no value in the cost of human lives. So that is one thing that responsible companies try to do the most they can in order to improve the health rating and the safety rating of vessels. But also at the same time, a better operation, reduction of accidents, damage of equipment, all the way down to insurance costs. I mean, let's say, so effectively, and you take something that is like health and safety and better improvement of working operating conditions, and suddenly you can translate that into a reduced operating overhead. So
Indeed.
That is probably where the actual benefit or the actual financial justification might come to make
Sure.
people's decisions easier.
So obviously, a logical question then would be, what are your future plans for OSM?
Well, the point where we are right now is we have reached like the commercial stage. We have formed this company, this OffshoreMuster Limited company amongst the partners. 3 of the partners have formed this company to commercialize and launch the product. We are in various discussions about that, but also it's quite interesting. It has 2 dimensions. One is to continue the research and development and to be able to further enhance the capabilities of the system, but also, let's say, try to find our first target installations for commercial operation. And interestingly enough, we have been approached for, let's say, for the suitability of the technology in other structures, like, for example, big steel plants, maybe even onshore, but they want to utilize the same, they have the same kind of conditions, not offshore with the sea and so forth, but still they want to have location awareness. So we believe that this is the beginning of a great new adventure and a new path with a lot of potential for growth, and one that can have a significant impact to our industry, let's say.
Sure. Now, we're going to transition at this point, gentlemen, to the question and answer portion of the webcast with the audience. And so a couple notes here to you in the audience. You can continue to submit your questions in the Q&A box that's located at the bottom left corner of your screen. So we're going to tee up here the first question. This goes to you, Symeon. Have you discussed with potential users of the technology?
We have discussed. Of course, we've had our initial discussions with ZMI about how we go on the next step and next level after this project is completed as it has. And we have also discussed with a number of other interested companies that have seen the value and have expressed an interest. So, yes, we have.
Got a question here for Ali. What was the reaction of the officers on the QMS Pride?
All in all, it was a very positive reaction. I think once they understood the benefit that this brings on an HSE perspective, there was a complete buy-in from everybody on board. And Tasos, I guess, can testify to that based on the response and support that the crew themselves provided to the OSM team when they were on board in terms of the implementation of the equipment and the software.
So, Tasos, I noticed the man overboard feature. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
This is a unique feature and came straight from the need. So if somebody falls overboard, instantly the wireless device is creating an alert. The people on board and also on the shore, if this system is also linked to the shore offices, are informed about somebody that is in the sea. And it's critical, as you know, that times count. So it's very important to initiate immediately search and rescue operation. And with the pistol, that we call it pistol, but it's actually a localization device, we can very quickly spot the location of the person in the sea. It works with signals and communication signals. So we are not bounded in any GPS or localization. So we just localize the person and we direct the rescue boat in that direction to find the person. So in this way, we minimize the time for rescuing and increasing the survival probabilities of that person.
All right, very good. Symeon, what is the cost effectiveness of this new technology?
Well, the technology, the technology has been designed taking into consideration trying to minimize the cost from the beginning, because the models, the business models that we're looking at are such that will encourage, we believe, the easy adaptation of the technology, and then turn as I mentioned before, the cost into an operational annual cost for keeping and maintaining the system. So the design team and the technical team with the three partners, as I mentioned in the beginning, CSM, SignalGeneriX, and OffshoreMuster have gone through the cost of the system has always been into consideration, and we think it will be quite competitive and let's say cost effective with respect to what we know exists today in the market.
All right. Ali, I assume you see a future where ZMI will continue its relationship and cooperation with OSM.
Well, that's a given. That's a given, Kurt. Absolutely. I think there's benefits all across the board, and the mutual benefit that we find for both companies in this something we definitely want to develop on and take for the long term. And, be the pioneers in our space to take on board new technologies that benefit the operations.
All right. Tasos, what do you think are the main technical characteristics and differentiators of the OSM?
Actually, there are many. It's a system that gives you a holistic picture of what's happening during an emergency. Of course, one of the main characteristics is that we can accurately locate and track people, but also we engage any other sensor that is on board in order to give this holistic picture. It's fully customized, so we can include any procedure is followed on any different structure. And another very important is the black box, what we say the black box historical data monitoring, where anything that happens can be accessed later for review and audit. I can go through many technical challenges that we are overcoming from but I can speak for hours. One that is very important is that we have developed the whole technology from scratch and all the protocols that enable us to have a system which is scalable. Scalable, we can add as many gateways as we want so as to scale up in the structure, but also add as many wireless nodes, wearables, to accommodate even a large amount of people.
All right. Symeon, could this technology be applied to onshore facilities?
Well, we have investigated that, and I did mention this a little bit before when I was talking, and I think that the answer is yes, in different forms, because the criteria are a little bit different and there will need to be some adaptation, but actually it may be, from what we looked at, there are different questions of maybe equal difficulty, but in some ways it's easier because what we have to do with offshore facilities, you have to also work not horizontally only on the one level, but you also have to look at the depth level. So effectively, because each vessel has different layers and different levels. So the ability, we believe, to have solved the issue for the offshore environment puts us in a very good position to be able to try to apply it onshore, whether it is, let's say, to oil and gas facilities or other facilities where the challenge is to use communication protocols that can work in heavy steel structures. Something that regular technology finds it challenging. So this way, I think if you look at it from that point of view, the innovation and breakthrough that has been achieved and was proven with, let's say, on the QMS Pride, gives us a lot of hope and enthusiasm for the future.
All right. Tasos, they're asking, is the technology certified and what are the target certifications?
We are actually in the process of certification. Of course, the technology is working in an explosive environment, so we make sure that we have the appropriate certifications like ATEX, IECX, and also the appropriate CE certifications for low voltage, electromagnetic compliance, and radio directives. So we are in the process of obtaining all the necessary certifications to be able to deploy and operate this system even in the higher explosive environment.
Okay, we got a question here. I'm not sure which one of you wants to answer this, but they're asking, it is not clear if the overall monitoring of personnel in the field is individually identified. Do you need the handheld scanner for individual identification?
I can answer this. The handheld device is only used for long range when the person is in the sea and gets carried away from the current. the system is fully automatic, so it can track the people and their location automatically in real time. Person identification, I mean, who is who, is done during the mastering. So have an option to use or not use the person identification. It depends on the operator.
I will add to this, though, that each of the devices, the wearable devices, is assigned to a specific individual. So when you are looking at the screen, and we saw also on the videos and so forth that there is the movement of the little round circles with the different coloring and so forth. Those circles that show are where a device is. If you actually hover over that point, you will see you can identify the person. And also with the software solution, if you actually look for a person, they can actually show you the location of that person through the wearable. So it's what Tasos said, with the addition that at any given time, the system has the ability to know where a tag associated to a person is.
All right. We have another interesting question here. They're asking, how scalable is the system, and have you considered a concept for multi-platform bridge-linked complexes?
I can answer that. I think I already answered that. One of the main benefits of the system is it is fully scalable. So we can add, as I said, as many gateways as we want. Each gateway has 2 ways of communication, through wire, through a LAN network, but also through a wireless multi-hop system. One can communicate to the other, so it can create a redundant network. So this gives us the ability to even expand to areas that we don't have wiring. And also the whole protocols that we developed enable the addition of a very large number of wearables. That means that we can use the system in systems and cross-platforms, and where many people are required to work.
Okay. We have another interesting one here. They're asking, have you experienced any reluctance by offshore workers to have their locations on these offshore facilities monitored?
I can take that. In our discussion, let's say, with different companies, indeed the sensitivity of some of the organized workers and being able to monitor their location and so forth has been raised. Having said that, I think what we have the ability is to turn off or on or off the system as required. So I guess that is something that we can say that if, let's say, there's an emergency or a critical situation, the system can come online, in which case everyone would want to have that rather than feel that someone is watching over them, because at that point in time, everybody would want to know that somebody is watching over them to be able to save them in case there is an emergency. For other companies that we have discussed, this is not an issue, and it is actually within the protocols of the barges and so forth that basically the officers want to know who is going where, at what location, and so forth, because one of the issues also that we know is like no-go areas or areas that are prone to hazardous material and so forth. So the answer is that if the operator decides that they want to trigger this ability only on emergency, then we can have that. If the owner-operator wants to have it, let's say, under certain HR protocols active at specific times, then it's something that we can do. It's a hardware and software system that basically the use of it depends on the management protocols.
We also have, we are giving the operator the ability also to have anonymized, localized people or with name, as Symeon said. So we provide the whole set of features in order to enable the operator to operate the system in the way that they want, as far as the, let's say, GDPR or any other personal data is concerned.
All right, Tasos, this one is directed specifically to you, and they say they would like to hear your perspective on remote visualization. In other words, bringing the offshore platform to your desktop, and as that relates to operations, maintenance, and reliability planning, specifically in the offshore drilling sector.
This is one of the key advantages of the system. As I said before, we can enable remote monitoring of the structure from from anywhere in the world. So let's say several structures can monitor in real time. There are several structures simultaneously. So even though the whole system is based on a LAN network, on a specific structure with appropriate communication, we can give the holistic picture of each structure to the owner and an offshore, let's say, office. So remote visualization is one of our key features.
Well, gentlemen, I hate to say this, but we are literally out of time. I hate to bring this webcast to an end. It's really been a set of fascinating topics this morning. We would like to thank all of you out in the audience for attending today's webcast. We also would like to thank OffshoreMuster and our speakers, Dr. Symeon Kassianides, Dr. Tasos Kounoudes, and Ali El-Ali, for putting together this timely, informative presentation. And finally, for those of you again in the audience, an on-demand version of this webcast will be made available in the coming days, and it will be emailed to everyone. So on that note, I say thank you very much for attending and have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.